So what is this called? It's called Founders CBS.
CBS. All the beer nerds will love it. It's an
Imperial Stout brewed with chocolate and coffee, aged in maple syrup. I taste the maple syrup.
Isn't that delicious?
And it's what, aged in bourbon barrels?
I think so.
Very nice, Carl. For real, that's really, really nice. I got to mention they're showing a lot of Corona commercials on TV.
Okay.
And I'm watching a lot of basketball, a lot of the NBA playoffs and whatnot. So they're showing Corona, and they're making Corona sound like it's the most amazing beer ever.
Right.
And they show people like putting the lime in the Corona. Can you explain why they do that? Because I found that fascinating when you first told me.
It has nothing to do with the flavor. Nothing. Most in Central South America and in the Yucatan and all these places, you drink outside. Actually, you basically live outside.
Right.
People don't realize how in and out the life is out there. Right. Your house is basically just a little shelter. Mm. A lot of it has to do with poverty, overwhelming poverty.
Right.
I mean, but the bugs there are like Jurassic Park. They're very aggressive. They're like New York City pigeons. They don't care.
Yeah.
A bug will fly right into your head.
Yeah.
Right into your mouth. They don't care.
Right.
So people put an acid on the neck of the beer so that the bugs won't fall into your beer when you're drinking outside. Same thing with margaritas. They put salt on the rim. It has nothing to do
But the taste.
Like, you know how many times I'm sitting there and then you got some Bloomingdale's mom just sitting there saying, oh, I love the salt. I'm like, I hate everything about you. I want you to have an aneurysm.
I'm a big fan of margaritas. Big fan. And I don't mind a little salt on the rim.
It's silly.
So everyone thinks they're being sophisticated, but the tradition started just to keep the bugs away.
Opie, it's so easy with food and alcohol to make people be complete idiots. I remember we would go, when we were chefs, we would get invited to wine tastings.
Yeah.
So one time we had a wine tasting at the Plaza, and they were doing verticals of Rothschild.
Right.
Rothschild's a very high-end Bordeaux,
Nice.
right? And we were in there with all our chef credentials and everything, and we would pick somebody like a Mark and make them agree with us, and we would say stupid stuff about the wine,
right.
And they would agree. So we would come up to people, and the lady would look, and we had the Jack executive chef. So all of a sudden, we have all the prominence in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, we're an authority. So I would take a sip of some crazy wine, and the lady would be looking at me, and I would say, I'm getting a lot of wet clay. And the lady would look at me, and then as she's looking at me, she would take a sip. And I would see her nod her head in agreement. She's like, I get it. It's all there, all in the front, right, Carl? I said, absolutely, just wet clay everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we would just stare at this lady like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You can't even think what you're even tasting on your own.
Right.
You know, you just saw this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been high for a month.
Right.
I just had a Twix bar. Yeah. I can't taste the thing.
Right.
But you're going to agree with me that it tastes like wet clay. And
Yeah.
that's why you stay away. Especially like with beers like this. There's so many people that have no qualifications whatsoever, and they just rant these talking points on beer. Like these people, like they're really into IPAs, right?
I'm not a fan of IPAs.
Let me tell you a little story about IPAs.
Yeah,
Opie.
please.
So IPAs were designed to be bad beers. And you're going to ask me why. Well, when the British occupied India, there was no beer in India. So the British would ship beer from England.
Right.
What they would do is they would call them IPAs. They would load them up with hops, and they would make them super bitter so that they could withstand the travel.
Is that where the IPAs come from?
So it's actually a faulty beer. Right off the bat. And I just sit here and I listen to these people like, did you have the whatever IPA? I'm like, no. That's like potted meat.
They're too bitter for me.
Of course, they're designed to withstand shipment on a hot boat from Europe to India.
Do you think most people just make believe that they like IPAs?
Most people make believe they like most things.
Really?
And I've noticed that in food. There's very few people I know that are honest with their own palate. And that's why if you see a lot of on my Instagram and everything, I never post anything over $20. Like I'd rather talk about a hamburger where we can all talk about it.
Right.
When I see these food trends and I see people eating salmon. They don't like the way it tastes. It tastes like shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, what I learned from you, traveling here and there and going to a lot of restaurants, I always thought, stupid me, when I first started making money, that I needed to like up the quality of the restaurant I went to get better food. And you're shaking your head. No, of course. And when we went to Philly and we went on a little food tour, you were showing me all these tiny little joints.
Right.
Most people would call them holes in the wall.
Right.
And the food was just as good as some fancy restaurant in Manhattan.
When I was in the high end business, in the restaurant business, I think it was 80% fraud.
Really?
I used to see chefs write menus before they even made the food. So they would write the menu to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
They would hit all the cliche points, everything that was hot. Black kale Caesar salad. Bleh.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
This and that. But they never cooked it.
With a hint of lemon.
Buh.
With a hint of this
With a
and
hint
that.
of BS. and I would see, and that would really turn me off to the high-end world where I saw these chefs, you know what I mean? And they would make all this food.
Yeah.
After the fact. So they would cook to meet whatever they wrote on the menu. And I found that so bizarre. So what I realized, as a young chef was all these high-end guys would end up at a burger joint or a dive bar because their palates were honest.
Yeah.
They had great palates, but they weren't transferring that honesty to their customer who's paying $100. Mm-hmm. There's very few chefs that make food at that level that is honest. You have a guy like Eric Ripert at Le Bernardin.
Of course.
Yeah, you don't have no idea.
No.
I might as well say Mickey Mouse.
Right.
So this guy, he's one of the few. He makes food that he likes, and people, they eat it and they accept it because he's a 4-star Michelin guy, but still, he's an honest chef. But then I see some guy with a handlebar mustache and a lamb in a fence tattoo, and all of a sudden he's driving his unicycle to work, and I got to listen to his garbage.
Right.
He's a fraud. He doesn't have what it takes, and that's why I eat simple food, because that's how I was taught. The old French chefs taught me. They said, "You want to learn how to cook a pepper? You have to eat it raw." And they would teach us for weeks. You want to use a lemon? Eat a lemon. You want to use an orange? Eat an orange. We used to have to eat every product raw so that we understood what its base flavor, what its honest flavor, its baseline was.
Yeah.
Now chefs, everything comes prepackaged. It's smoke and mirrors.
Why'd you get into cooking?
I got into cooking. My grandfather got me into cooking. When I was 11 years old, about to turn 12, my grandfather calls me, and my grandfather was very wise, very short with words. And he said to me, "Carl, come over here." I said, "Yeah, what's up, Grandpa?" He says, "I keep hearing your grandmother and your mother tell you that you're special. You're not special." He says, "You see your brother over there? Now that kid's special." He goes,
Could you explain your brother to the people that haven't heard yet?
he basically can levitate if he wanted to. That's how, he's a cardiothoracic surgeon.
He operates on...
Babies,
but he operates on babies that are still in the womb.
Yeah, no, that's his wife. She's an OBGYN trauma surgeon.
They married each other?
It's like two computers married each other.
Oh my God, why would you do that?
Let me tell you something. You're at a family party and they have jokes with each other.
Yeah.
And it's just, they fall so hard they break the table.
Right.
Like my brother look at Katie and be like, "Oh, and that's what the scalpel said." And I'm like, "Boo! Boo!" I mean, they're the most unfunny two human beings you've ever seen.
I honestly think if you're highly intelligent like your brother,
Yeah.
that you should marry like a Perkins waitress.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I did that, and that doesn't work out either.
We're going to explain why Carl is living in a cabin.
Perkins in, Perkins out.
But you know what I mean? Because now you're bringing your work home, and they're probably just trying to have a nice family dinner and discussing what went on at the hospital that day.
Here's the problem with two really smart people. They're very pragmatic, right? So they think everything out.
Yeah.
So everything is like a strategy session. Like they're like one of the daughters, Lucy. "Oh, Lucy wants to do this now. like wants to play soccer. And next thing you know, my brother's got a spreadsheet and shit. I'm like, let the kid play.
Let the kid be a kid.
Let the kid be a kid.
Right.
So they're so smart that they get, everything is almost like a bureaucracy. You can't get anything done.
Yeah. So what does he do exactly? So his wife is the one that operates on babies that are still in the womb.
He deals with people that have less than 10% to live, with massive congenital heart defects. So he's basically the Grim Reaper.
Wait, does he operate on kids or everybody?
Kids, I think mostly kids.
So, how you have to be? How do I say this carefully? He has to be autistic in a way, or he has to be like slightly dead inside.
You could see the spectrum coming out of his eyes.
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but if your whole job is where you're dealing with parents that have a really sick kid and they are coming to you knowing they only have a 10% chance.
Yeah, he's the Grim Reaper. That's what I call him.
But how do you go home?
Like nothing, like a switch.
It doesn't bother him?
He'll come home, play with the kids, laugh, and he'll talk to you about it.
Right.
Like I'm talking about, drinking a beer.
I don't know how you do
Completely
that.
Completely clinical. Doesn't even faze him.
So it doesn't faze him if he's saving the kid.
Doesn't faze him one way or another.
And it doesn't faze him if the kid doesn't make it.
If the kid doesn't make it,
I can't wrap my head around that.
Me either.
And it leads.
He has the same attitude as a serial killer.
Really?
I think it's the same thing, just on another side.
It's funny you should say that because my daughter went on a play date recently.
With a doctor? How old is she?
My daughter's 5.
Gotcha.
And it was me and the dad. So he doesn't work. He does nothing. I go, what do you do? He goes, I do nothing.
Was he at Sirius XM too?
He collects records. I kind of got along with the guy.
So you were with E-Rock?
He collects records. He collects all the Beatles imports. Oh, you need the Japanese press because of blah, 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 blah.
You think that's cool?
It was cool listening to records with the guy.
You sat and listened to records?
Yeah, while our kids were running around playing.
Stranger danger.
And my daughter almost broke.
Wait, hold on.
What? I got too much to say now.
Oh my God, Opie. Give me 1 second. Where were you? Would he just bring a record player on a dolly?
I went to his house.
Okay.
With and our kids played together, and we were listening to records, and he was explaining stuff, and in a way, it was kind of interesting. But
what do you do with your hands and eyes, like with records?
What do you mean?
Like, do you stare at each other while the record's playing? Do you look at other stuff? Do you look at your phone?
Well, it was one of those snowy days in New York City.
So I
was looking out the window.
You guys were looking out the window listening to records?
Making believe I cared about the Japanese import of the Beatles Abbey Road.
You hated it. Don't lie to me. You hated being there.
You know what? You're right. You're right.
That guy sucks.
And then it didn't help that my little daughter almost broke her ankle on an exercise bike.
Of course, you guys are staring at each other's eyes listening at imported records.
All of a sudden, wow, I'm really good at this, so don't worry. I'm going to bring it back to Carl, his brother, and everything. Trust me, this is my expertise. But my daughter is now on an exercise bike from the 70s. You know, those old school. Where
is everything this guy have old?
Yeah. And, you usually see these exercise bikes in like old people's houses that they maybe exercised 20 years prior, and now it's like a coat rack.
Right.
So my daughter's on it, and I'm like, I don't know if she should be on that, man. But then this guy's daughter was on it. I'm like, all right, if his daughter's on it, then I guess my daughter could do. And then my daughter goes, Daddy, can we stay? I'm having so much fun here. And it's a nice snowy day in New York. It's like almost like a blizzard outside. They ordered pizza. It's kind of nice as far as a play date goes, right? All of a sudden now I'm listening.
Sound like two gay parents.
I know. Now I'm listening to another Beatles song from some Australian import. I don't know.
But is it the same song?
No, we're switching records. And
no, but I'm saying, like, does the import song sound the same as the regular?
To me, it does.
This guy sucks.
Because my ears are dead from doing so many years of radio. So
and your soul too. What are you doing in there?
I mean, he has a turntable, and he's trying to explain why the turntable's better than the CDs. And I'm like, man, you're talking to the wrong person because I can't hear anymore.
I would shoot a flare up and have him extracted out of that party.
Anyway, so then my daughter's like, can we stay? 2 minutes later, Carl, she's screaming bloody murder. She fell off the bike and got her foot stuck. And I looked at this ankle and we're like, oh my, I thought she broke her leg. Long story short, she was fine in the end, but it was bad, really bad.
But so good, because you got to leave, right? Injured kid, but no more of this.
Oh, I'm grabbing her. Thank you. Trying to get a cab. And by the time I got the cab and got her in the back seat, I realized we don't have to go to the hospital, but actually went to the doctor the next day, but that's now it's becoming boring. It wasn't broken. So anyway, this guy, he's a stay-at-home dad, and basically says, "Yeah, I don't do nothing. My wife's a doctor." And I go, "Well, what do you do?" And he explained the record collection, and he goes, "I categorize my records. That's what I do every day." So he gets these records.
Don't go there anymore.
He gets these records.
Keep your kids away from this guy.
He listens to it, and then he decides he rates it. The quality of the record.
He rates it.
Yeah, all this stuff. He's part of a Facebook club and all that. He's
a bunch of other mavericks.
But I really did like the guy. So his wife, getting back to your brother, his wife operates on breast cancer.
Right.
And she does a lot of these surgeries. I mean, a lot, like 20 a week.
Yeah, that's good.
So she's seen a lot of death too.
Yeah.
And I mean, and a lot of success. Maybe not as bad as your brother, where it's 10%, but she's probably, she's trying to save people's lives as well. So I was trying to talk to this guy about movies and TV shows. He goes, "Oh, in this house, because of what my wife does, when she comes home, we don't watch anything heavy." So he goes, "I'm into the Gilmore Girls."
Don't ever go there. I hate this story.
But
I don't hate this story because it's a great story. I'm glad your kid's fine.
But it made sense to me because, he's kind of frustrated because I was talking about...
I'm frustrated. I wasn't even there.
I'm talking about like Walking Dead and all this. And he's like, "Yeah, we're not allowed to watch any of that because when she comes home, she wants to turn off and watch just mindless stuff." So he goes, "I actually am really into the Gilmore Girls." And he's like, "I'm probably the only heterosexual male that's into the Gilmore Girls."
There would be, if I was there, a throat punch coming from across the couch. He would be in a full fight with me.
I swear I like the guy though.
Why?
I don't know. I liked him.
He's a creep.
So it goes back to your brother, who's like just an intellect,
right?
And his job is pretty freaking brutal. So now back to you.
Yes.
All right. So your grandfather goes to you. You're not like your brother, who's like just highly intelligent and is going to be this incredible doctor.
Always a nerd.
Yeah.
And he was like Morrissey when he was a little kid, like sexless.
Really?
He didn't like girls.
Did he like boys though?
No, he didn't like anything.
So how
did
he
would study all day like a weirdo?
But how did he get into trying to keep it clean on the podcast?
Right.
How did he get into, the putty as
I think his wife bumped into his crotch and he's like, "Will you marry me?"
One and done, you think?
No, it was two and done.
He went two and done.
He had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, no, let me back this up. This is a sensitive story in my house.
Really?
So
and he's going to be listening to this. Is he going to be cool with this?
I'll knock him out.
All right, good.
So my brother and I go on vacation one year to Aruba. And there was this girl from Colombia, from Cartagena, and she was a smoke show. Right?
Yeah.
And my brother falls in love with this girl.
Really?
And my brother does something that's unspeakable to me. Goes and tells my mother and father at his age, he was like 16, "I'm in love with this girl. How do I get her, Mom?" And I'm like, "Ew." Ew. Like I'm sitting by the pool, I'm like, "Ew. You're the worst."
How old were you?
A year and a half, 2 years. So I was 14.
And he was...
But New York City, 14.
And he's 15 and a half, 16?
16. But he's...
So I would assume at that point that you were already getting laid.
I lost my virginity at 12.
Did you really?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
To a famous musician's daughter that I can't say. She'll listen to this.
Can you write it down? How famous is the musician?
Back then, as famous as you could imagine.
80s?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Like rock?
Like R&B.
R&B. Black?
Oh, yeah.
She was black?
Chocolate Thunder. Oh. She was beautiful.
We're gonna talk.
She looked like Lisa Bonet.
We're gonna talk about my black fetish on a future episode.
What do you mean black? Have you ever dated a black girl?
Not dated, but.
So then that's nothing to talk about. It's a whole different experience.
I lassoed one and brought her home.
And then what happened? She didn't like your Beatles records?
Well, oh boy, here
What'd
we
you
go.
do, Opie?
I try to, you know.
You did something in front of her?
I try to go down.
Downtown, right? No good?
Rough.
Hot garbage? How old were you?
Rough.
Did she run home?
I was old.
Oh, you got to be careful with that.
No, it was, you know.
But you're not a quitter, man. You got to follow it through. Just don't do it again, but you got to finish it.
It was the waft. It was the odor.
You couldn't put your T-shirt over your nose?
It was rough.
You could have ninja'd out?
It was rough.
You got to ninja it out. You got to suck it through. You got to.
Very sexy, but it took me out of the game. But anyway.
That takes you out. Nothing takes me out of the game.
That doesn't take you out of the
Not
game?
even death will take me out of the game. I'm
Really?
Cuban. There's not once we engage, it's full blown.
Oh my God.
You have to get a stick, like when a pit bull locks on someone, and pull me off with a stick.
Smells are rough with me.
It doesn't bother me. I'm a chef. I can smell anything.
I broke up with girls over the years because the smell wasn't right.
Oh, I'm like, not talking about the break.
I'm like, the smell's not right. This means something with nature. I'm moving on.
It means it's all
I'm
right.
moving on.
It means
so you lost your virginity at 12 to I got to bring all this together. Oh my God, all my skills. I'm going to need all my skills. All right, I'm thinking. Okay, 12-year-old, lose your virginity, R&B, famous singer's daughter.
Yeah, gorgeous.
How many hits?
At least 10. At least 10 gold records.
In the late 70s?
Easy.
Part of an R&B group?
Yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Close, but no.
Oh, come on.
I'm not going to tell you even if you get there, but no, it's not Earth, Wind, and Fire.
All right, anyway, so you lost your virginity at 12. Your brother's 16, and he's hot for this girl.
And he's treading water asking my mother what to do.
Really?
Right? And I'm like, boo, by the pool. So my mother starts giving him advice. And even at 15, I knew this advice was awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
This girl wanted an aggressive... She was on vacation. She wanted to get down. Right?
Oh, really?
I could smell it.
Really?
My brother couldn't smell a thing.
And your brother had no moves.
He wants to hold hands with this girl into the sunset.
And
this girl wants to get buried behind a palm tree.
Oh, I feel so bad for your brother.
And so my mother, listen to how bad this is. You know what my mother's advice was? Georgie, that's what he called, which was bad off the bat.
Yeah.
Georgie, write her a nice little note on how you feel. I'm like, don't do that, boo! You're gonna die.
Ew! How many days are you on vacation?
Ew, this could have been closed in an hour. She wanted to close the deal. She was ready.
So you guys are only there for a week.
Yeah, we can afford more than a week.
So she's smart enough to know that I'm just trying to get some action on vacation, and your brother's thinking, I'm going to marry this girl.
This is my life partner at 16 years old, right?
So, God.
I mean, talking about making every single one of the wrong moves.
Yeah.
So he goes upstairs with my mother, and they're in the little swim trunks and stuff. So she goes upstairs with my mom, and they come back with a revised note. I'm like, dude, you can't have mom write you a love note. This is awful. I hate everything about this. And my father is like, my father knew I was different than my brother. He's like, just leave them alone. They're having fun. Just leave them. Go get daddy another a Johnny Walker Black. Did you see that girl? Did you see that girl in the red? Whoa, nipple's been hard since 2 PM.
Your mom's just hitting him.
And I was, shut up, Jesse. Right. Shut up. You're so fresh. You're going to turn that kid into a girl. He's screaming, right? But my brother's all in. Writes this note, goes and hands it to the girl. Now me, I'm like cloak and dagger. I'm behind the pool watching the look on the disappointment on this girl's face when my brother shows up with like a perfectly folded note in hotel stationery. This is awful. And goes, here, and he runs away like he was just serving somebody, like he was serving papers or somebody.
Yeah.
Took off running. I'm like, George, what are you doing? I watched the girl. She opens the note, and then her friend comes, who's another little fireball, and they both look at the note, and they start laughing, like, whatever. She puts the note right in the garbage. And I go back to my brother, because I'm special ops. I'm like, no more notes. Go over there, put your tongue all the way down her throat until she pushes you away, and guess what? She's not gonna. Carl, you're an idiot. Okay, George. Fast forward, vacation's over. Now, my brother for the next year is a pen pal with this girl.
With the girl.
Note after letter after thing.
How far away did
She's
she
in
live?
Columbia.
Oh, you said, okay.
We are in New Jersey.
Oh, my God.
So my mother, listen to this. Mm-hmm. My mother convinces my dad it's time to go to Colombia. So the next year on vacation, we go see the girl in Bogota. Now, I'm a year wiser. I'm almost a Navy SEAL at this point. You know what I mean? And my brother has not changed one bit. He's got a whole stack of letters that he wants to give her and more correspondence. And now he's head over heels. A year. And it was funny, like he would send like 9 notes and she would send back what the equivalent is now of a text of like LOL or hi. Like she would send like little things, right?
Yeah.
And they come meet us at the airport. Now I'm a little older and she is looking fierce.
Yeah,
oh
kid.
My God. And now the other little friend, she's in tow. And during this whole correspondence, they're like, I'm going to hook up your brother with my friend Claudia. So we get to the airport. They're waiting for us. We get off the plane. There's like a little glass thing wait for us to go through customs. The girl Luna gives my brother a hug. I immediately start making out with the other girl. In the airport, my mom pulls me off, tells me I'm being disgusting, disrespected the family. But I knew this girl was ready to ride, right? We go out that night clubbing. Now my brother's still holding her hand. It's awful.
Oh, God.
He's holding her hand, and
Why is she still holding his hand at this point?
My hand has not come off this girl's butt, my girl,
right,
since the airport.
Right.
I'm a sweaty creep.
Oh, he's holding the hand of the new one.
Of the new one.
All right, sorry, yes.
And I got her friend who's just along for the ride.
Right.
She can't wait. She's having the time of her life. Right? We get to the club, and we're in Bogota, so it is crazy. So the minute I get into the club, I realize, I'm like, wait a second. You can buy drugs here, everything. Like, I'm gonna buy a gun. This is an amazing place. So I'm doing shots, and my brother can't hold the alcohol. So my brother does 4 shots of aguardiente. It's what we drink in Colombia. Now my brother gets upset because I'm dancing with both the girls. And I'm all fucked up. I'm all messed up. And he gets upset and goes, I'm going back to the hotel. Leaves me with his little pen pal and her friend. Now they got to deal with me.
Oh.
So I go hog wild on these 2 girls. Bring them back to the hotel. Start making out with both of them in the lobby. The guy that ran the lobby came up to me and said, sir, and I'm 16, but you stay at this hotel, you're a big deal. In South America, it's a whole different world out there.
Yeah.
You can't be doing this here. We have guests coming back and forth. There's an empty room we'd like to give you, and then you could just
For real?
Dude, they were so nice.
Wow.
And we just went in, and
it was over.
It was over. It was one of the best nights of my life.
Beautiful.
You want to talk about a family problem?
Right.
My brother took it to the Supreme Court, which is going to my mother and my father.
Well, why'd you tell anyone?
I didn't. When we had.
But it seems like he would never know that all went down.
He didn't know it went down. But what happened is the next day, Luna, his girl, was like, listen, I don't want to be this kind of guy, but me and your brother are kind of cool with each other. And then my brother started putting it together.
Oh, shit.
And my brother was like, Ma, Carl kissed Luna. I'm like, I kissed her at 7. I kissed her this morning.
That is so weird that you and your brother are so different. He doesn't drink.
Doesn't drink, doesn't do anything.
Nothing.
I'll smoke a goat that's walking outside.
No kidding.
And he just nothing. And
so how is that? I mean,
we're like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger twins, like just completely different.
I'm one of 5 boys in my family,
Right.
7 kids,
Right.
and we're all more or less the same.
But he's a super brain, though. That's I think that's the difference.
Yeah, but I've been with you long enough. All joking aside, right. You're really intelligent,
I know.
Really smart. And what I've learned about you over the years is you're street smart.
Well, I'm street smart.
The stuff you have taught me
Right.
is pretty pretty amazing. And
Just
I hope
common sense.
Your common sense knowledge is second to none for real. And I hope we could talk about some of this on the podcast, because a lot of times on the old radio show, I wish some of this came out and it didn't.
Right.
I mean, we're really close these days, and I'll call you with some kind of issue, and you'll just hit me with some common knowledge that puts it all into a place where I'm an understanding. Right. I'm like, oh my God, of course that's what's going on here.
I think, Opie, what it comes from, it's I think everyone has it in the beginning. Me and you have pretty much the same upbringing, where not a lot of money and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I went into business very early. As a chef, you're like a private contractor, right?
Yeah.
So,
wait, can you hold this? Because I know this is going to end up being another 20 minutes. So I'm gonna walk 5 feet to Carl's bathroom in the cabin.
It's at least 8 feet. Don't be an ass.
It's 8 feet? Okay. But I want to keep this rolling. So
go ahead.
Just talk about whatever you want and promote your stuff. Promote your stuff. Your restaurant.
I'm not going to talk about anything. We'll cut here.
No, we're not cutting.
No cutting?
No.
What if I want to have a cigarette?
Oh, you want to have a cigarette?
Yeah, let's go have a cigarette.
All right, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
We'll take a smoke break.
But they're not going to know that it was a smoke break, because it's just going to be like da-da-da, right back at it. So, all right. I'm at Carl's cabin in the middle of the woods in New Jersey. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Carl's going to have a cigarette, and we're going to continue.
Why don't you go to the bathroom outside?
Huh?
You don't like going to the bathroom outside?
I can?
It's one of my favorite things to do here.
Yeah.
Peeing in nature is...
You're not trying to look at my peen, are you?
I mean... Why don't you go outside right here by the window? Come on, Kaza. Do the right thing.
It's not gay if there's not a house 10 miles from here.
Do Uncle Carl a favor and go take a pee-pee by the window.
Looks like our relationship's going to the next level.
You can't get out of here.
All right, I'm pausing this. You're gonna smoke. I'm gonna pee behind one of these trees, and we're gonna continue this conversation. Where were we at? I got to remember now.
My brother being corny.
No, I know that. Oh, and you getting into the restaurant business at a very early age. All right, we'll be back.
Bye-bye.
And that's how he signs off? No tease, no begging for reviews? Fucking radio guy. Come on, let's just do this. In 3, 2, 1. Opie won't be coming back from pissing on a tree as Carl slowly kills himself while trying to get a peek at the fallen radio star's peen. But no worries, this conversation in the solitary woods of New Jersey will continue.
Boo, 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 boo.
Opie Radio.
Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo.